Last episode, we talked about the tribulation and how terrible it will be for those who are left behind. Hopefully, that motivated you to reach out with the gospel to those around you. If you missed the episode, be sure to go back and have a listen. Today, we're talking about the return of Jesus and how amazing he is. So stick around to find out more.
Recorded at the Running H Studio, you're listening to Venture Tabernacle. It's like venture capital, except that the investment is made in your soul. This is where America hangs out to talk about anything and everything from a biblical perspective. I'm your host, Ty Hervey. Join me as we learn to view the world through the objective lens of the Bible.
Hey, folks. Welcome back for another episode of the Sunday Sermon on the Venture Tabernacle podcast. It's good to have you with us. If this is your first time tuning in, this is the part of the show where we go through the Gospel of Mark, verse by verse and story by story. Our text for today is Mark chapter 13, verse 24 through 27. It says this: "But in those days, after that tribulation, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will be falling from heaven, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. And then they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. And then he will send out the angels and gather his elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of heaven." And that's our text for today. And what we see here is the return of Jesus, the second coming of Jesus. And in verse 26, when it says the Son of Man, that is a title of Jesus. And you'll notice the very specific and grand entry that he makes in these verses. Twice in chapter 13 alone, we have been warned about false prophets and false Christ claiming to be Jesus. But Jesus explains to his disciples and to us the exact way that he will return. The first marker we see that we can count on is a specific time of his return. In verse 24, it says, after the tribulation. In other words, if anyone claims to be Jesus returning before the tribulation has finished, well, then they are automatically a liar. We have a specific time that Jesus will return, and it is after the tribulation. And we get a lot of indications of what this time will be like in verse 24 and 25. It says, "The sun will be darkened, and the moon will not be visible. There will be meteor showers and earthquakes, unlike anything that has ever been seen before." And if this sounds familiar, that might be because these are all the things that we learned will happen during the tribulation. And at the height of the disaster and destruction of the world, as God's wrath is poured out, Jesus returns to set all things right. That's the first marker, is we have a specific time. The second marker that we see that lets us know that we're looking at the real Jesus is that he will arrive in great power and glory. Just a few verses earlier, Jesus warned the disciples that there would be false prophets who appear performing signs and wonders. In other words, those false prophets will be able to do miracles, or at least the appearance of miracles. And they will attempt to convince the world that they are something that they aren't really. And their goal is to deceive and lead people away from God. But Jesus, the real Jesus, is going to return in such a powerful and undeniable glory that it will put these false prophets to shame. When he returns, he will be seen throughout the entire world, and the false prophets' miracles will be like cheap magic tricks next to the glory of Jesus. And what I mean by that is that when you see a magic show, it seems amazing at the surface, but everything that a magician does is just a trick or illusion. And once you look under the surface, what they are doing is empty and hollow. But when you look under the surface of who Jesus is, he is anything but empty and hollow. He's mighty, he is powerful, and when he came to the earth the first time, he was humble and lowly, and that was a choice that he made. But when he returns, the Bible says that he will return as the Lion of Judah to set all things right. He will be the warrior king who is going to wage war against Satan and his forces and ultimately defeat Satan for the rest of eternity. That's what it means when Jesus says that they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. And when he comes, he will send his angels to gather his chosen ones from all across the globe. And the people who become Christians during the tribulation and survive to the end of that time will be rescued into the new kingdom that Jesus will establish at that time. This is what it means to be chosen. And by the way, God desires that every person in history would be saved. The door of salvation is open to anyone and everyone who would place their faith in Jesus as Lord. So you have an opportunity to be one of the chosen people. This is the great mystery that God has grafted us into the blessing that he promised to Israel. We don't deserve it, and we can't ever earn it, but we get to receive his grace if we so choose to. And so Jesus is coming back. We don't know the day or the hour, but I know that it's going to happen. And if you're a Christian, that should fill you with hope. As you look at our lost and dying world, you can know that there is an answer and a solution. His name is Jesus. And until he returns, we should work with a sense of urgency to grow God's kingdom here and now, to prepare for eternity and hope that we see the day that Jesus arrives coming in the clouds. And that marks the end of this episode of the Venture Tabernacle podcast. Hey, if you're listening to us, you can check out more information about the podcast on venturetabernacle.com. Check us out, see what you want there. You can always listen to older episodes or check in to see what we got coming up new. Until next week, we'll see you same place, same time.